What is going on, my Masketeers? It is I, Med, back again with another episode of the Mask, and we are here to talk about the season final of Loki. The final episode of season 1 finally dropped. I'm gonna be honest, I might be in the minority here, but I was not really impressed with Loki. Before I get into my reasons why I wasn't impressed, I will say this. When it comes to the performances, when it comes to the visuals, and when it comes to the casting, I think it was all spot on. Everybody that was cast, all were amazing. They all did an amazing job. So when it comes to the actual acting ability and the visuals of the show, it is top notch. When it comes to the story, writing, pacing, that's another case altogether. And that's what we're really gonna go into. So the season final essentially sees both Lokis or the variants being able to come face to face with the mastermind behind the TVA, the one that created it, the one that stands above all, the one that lasts. Guess who it is? Who is the Wizard of Oz? Who is the man behind the curtain? It is none other than, you guessed it, Kang the Conqueror. When you first get introduced to Kang, he isn't the way that you'd expect him to be. He is kind of like the new Thanos. This is his first introduction because he would now be the next big bad for the Phase 4, or that's how they're setting him up to be. As the episode goes on, you then begin to discover a lot of things that play into why he is the way he is. This episode, it was more of just like a massive explanation of what's now to come. This is the first time when you kind of get how the multiverse is going to work. In this episode, Kang essentially explains how he created this quote unquote timeline, but they were multiple realities that he essentially had cut off or pruned in order to make the one timeline. But now, all of these timelines are now just kind of diverging. They're coming back because he isn't going to be here to keep them in check. And that's how they're going to explain the multiverse and tie in all these different things moving into Phase 4. So I did appreciate them giving the blueprint and the foundation of how the multiverse is going to go moving forward. That's all this episode was. And the episode is 40 minutes. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to you kind of deviating and not giving me like a full-on CGI fight fest and all this other stuff. But at the same time, I just felt that for the final episode, it didn't really have any impact. I didn't really walk away feeling to myself like, yeah, this is a real satisfied ending. And so because of that, I personally wasn't too impressed. When it comes to Kang himself, the reason why in the beginning I was a bit disappointed, but as the episode went on, I wasn't too mad, is because, again, he isn't the Kang that we know or the Kang that is coming. This essentially is the Kang that has seen how everything has gone wrong, and the Kang that has seen the error of his ways in a sense, and now he just wants to correct everything. If he should disappear, if he should be killed, because essentially he gives both Loki the choice. They can either take over the TVA or they can kill him. But he warns them that if they do kill him, what's going to happen is that all of his variants, the darker versions of himself, the ones that were responsible for the multiverse war, they will come. And when they come, it's going to be an absolute madness. They are going to wreck the whole situation. And that's the kind that we are used to. That's the kind from the comic books. And essentially, that's what's now coming. Both Loki, the Loki that we know, and female Loki, they have a discussion. Well, main Loki tries to have a discussion with female Loki, potentially taking him up on his offer. But, you know, she's on her vengeance. She's been hunting him for all these years and she's not going to give that up for anything. And Loki's just trying to convince her to just think for a minute. What if he's telling the truth? What does this mean? She don't give a goddamn. She's out here looking for blood. So they have a little fight, a back and forth. And just when it looks like they can kind of come to common ground, and it feels like Loki has gotten through to her. They share a moment, but then she basically ends up betraying Loki. She ends up killing Kang. Spoiler alert, in her doing that, she is setting off the chain of events that will now open the universe up to the multiverse. I will say I really did like this version of Kang. I thought his range and his different personas and personalities were quite engaging, and I like that. And I can't wait to see the dark version of him, like the Kang from the comic books. So when he pops up, it's gonna be an absolute crazy time, and I'm all here for it. But on a whole, I wasn't really too impressed with Loki. I thought that it had the most potential out of all the other shows, but I feel the payoffs and what they did with the time was wasted and squandered. There was a lot of stuff that could have been cut out. You could have literally put that into maybe 5 minutes of an episode, and certain episodes, especially episode 3, that was my gripes or my negative takeaways from Loki. But then I found out that there's going to be a season 2, so it was always designed to have a season 2. Maybe that's the reason why they altered the pace a little bit and why they left the final episode a bit open ended as they did. But apart from that, season 2, I don't know how it's going to tie into everything else, because I was under the impression that everything was kind of meant to be self contained. But you find that a lot of these shows tie directly into the next phase of Marvel. So I don't know how season 2, like at what point will it take place in? And I guess that's what we're gonna have to wait and see. Overall, my general thoughts on Loki, yeah, I would say that I'll give Loki a 6 out of 10. That's the only saving grace, to be honest. Like I'm invested in the characters. But in terms of the story and the reveal, I thought that was a bit poor. They didn't really even give like any after credits, which they normally do. It is what it is, man. Let me know what you thought of the show. If you liked it, if you didn't like it. Like always, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Peace.